It's a shame that as the world progresses and technology advances, the students in our nation are currently stuck in the 19th century where they want to produce more workers to work in the factory and only listens to others. It's the same to the students where they only listen to the teachers and regurgitate knowledge back at their quiz and tests at the end of the semester. It's a pity that these students are set up for the ever-changing world in the future where there's full of changes and uncertainties that we couldn't even think of currently. We're entering a world of revolution where there's not a lot of value in people that only listens to others and can't think critically for themselves. Increasingly, even a robot could do that kind of stuff perfectly well. And for that, we need a solution. 21st century revolutionized idea, a 21st century classroom, and we will know that now. We often heard about 21st century science classroom, but what is it all about? 21st century science classroom is about incorporating modern technology into STEM's lesson, and the teachers are facilitators to their students' learning instead of them being at the front, lectures their students about the lesson. 21st century science classroom focuses on 12 important abilities, which under three primary categories, which is learning skills, literacy skills, and life skills. The first category, which is learning skills, is the 4C. And the 4 ability in this category is creative, critical thinking, collaboration, and communication. The second category, which is literacy skills, consists of 3 abilities, which is information literacy, media literacy, and technology literacy. It helps students to analyze all the thousands of information that they have in the internet and discerns which one is valid, which one is unvalid and unacceptable idea. The last category, which is life skills, consists of 5 main crucial abilities, which is flexibility, leadership, initiative, productivity, and social skills, which help students in their daily life as they go through the future that full of changes and uncertainties.
Hi everyone, I'm EDWIN. I will share about the characteristics of 21st century science classroom from 4 categories, which are classroom setting, curriculum, pedagogy, and assessment and evaluation. First, in terms of classroom setting, there should be difference between old setting classroom and 21st century classroom. For our information, 21st century classroom setting more to student center, where teachers only act as a facilitators that give guideline to students. If we see, all classroom setting is teacher center, and all students face to the front and listen to teachers teaching. But in 21st century, students asked to change the arrangement and table and chairs and maybe make around, so then they're easy to discuss by group. After that, 21st century classroom setting also require technology integration. For example, teacher may use LCD screen, any electronic tools, and so on. Other than that, 21st century classroom also require students and teachers to make collaborative learning. For example, teacher give tasks to students by group, and then students will discuss with each other. Next, I will talk about the curriculum of 21st century. For now, our government try to add hot element to the syllabus. This is because government try to target 21st century education system more to student center. What is hot? Hot is high order thinking skills. Other than that, our latest curriculum for now is KSSR for primary school and KSSM for secondary school. This is the latest national curriculum that is designed to fulfill the target of 21st century education. Now, pedagogy in 21st century of science classroom. The first one is project-based learning. This means students required to do some project. This approach exactly requires students to brainstorm and use their creativity to make sure the project is successful. Next pedagogy is inquiry-based learning. What is it? Inquiry-based learning actually the process of finding and investigating problems, constructing hypotheses, designing experiment, collect data, and draw conclusion to solve problem. For the pedagogy of problem-based learning, students required to solve some question or problem according to their own ideals and creativity. Here, they need to enhance their thinking skill to find the solution of the problem. Last pedagogy that I will share is about STEM approach. STEM approach actually one of method to increase student knowledge about technology, online tools, science, mathematics, and so on. Students also have to more versatile in 21st century classroom because they have more sources of knowledge and so on. Lastly, I will talk about assessment and evaluation in 21st century science classroom. For now, students assess mostly via examination. I think you guys familiar with STPM, SPM, and BT3, right? So all of these type of assessment are exam-based. Next, we also have Assessment System National Education or SPPK. That assessment including to assess our curriculum like PAJSK, psychometric tests, and so on. The purpose of SPPK was created to make sure all students in Malaysia assess fairly. If you guys want to know more about it or want to know more about SPPK, you may search at Google what is it. Then we also have PBS or School-Based Assessment, which launched in 2014 if I'm not mistaken. Lastly, we also have students profile reporting. This is important as parents, teachers, and any party want to know students' academic and co-curriculum record. That's all from me. See you guys at our
Continue with the comparison. As we move further into the new millennium, it becomes clear that the 21st century classroom needs are very different from the 20th century classroom needs. So for now, let me compare. First of all, lectures on the single subject at a time were the norm in the past. And today, collaboration is the thread for all student learning. Plus, the 21st century classroom is student and teacher-centered. Compared to the past, teachers no longer function as a lecturers, but as a facilitator of learning. The students are learning by doing, and teacher act as a coach, helping students as they work on the project. Next, students no longer study each subject in isolation. Instead, they work on interdisciplinary projects that use information and skills from a variety of subjects and address a number of essential academic standards. And yeah, textbooks are no longer the major source of information. Students use multiple sources, including technology, to find and gather the information they need. They might keep journals, interview experts, explore the internet, or use computer software programs to apply what they have learned or to find information. So the goal of the 21st century classroom is to prepare students to become productive members of the workplace. So the focus of student learning in this classroom is different. The focus is no longer on learning by memorizing and recalling information like 20th century, but on learning how to learn like 21st century. Students use the information they have learned and demonstrate their mastery of the content in the project they work on to ensure they become a lifelong learners. Just as student learning has changed, so the assessment of the learning also changed. Now, the teachers use a variety of performance-based assessment to evaluate students. Tests that are measure the student ability to memorize and to recall facts are no longer the sole means of assessing student learning. Instead, the teacher use student project, presentation, and other performance-based assessment to determine students' achievement and their individual needs. Just as the classroom is changing, so the teacher must adapt their roles and responsibility. First, teacher must act as a classroom facilitator, like I just said just now. Second, the teacher must establish a safe, supportive, and positive learning environment for all students. This requires planning on the part of the teacher to avoid safety risks, to create room arrangement that support learning, and to provide the accessibility for the student with the special needs. Third, teacher must plan for the long term and the short term. Fourth, teacher must foster cooperation among students within the classroom, like the collaborative stuff. Fifth, the teacher must encourage student curiosity and intrinsic motivation to learn. Means that the teacher helps students become independent, creative, and critical thinkers by providing the student with experiences. Sixth, the teacher must make students feel valued. This is a very important aspect in the collaborative learning so that every member of the student play their part very well. The second last, the teacher must communicate effectively. This includes with students, parents, colleagues, and other stakeholders as all of them promote the student learning. Last one, the teacher must listen thoughtfully and responsively.
Assalamualaikum and hi guys, my name is ADLIN. Now, let's proceed with the next subtopic, which is the challenges of having the 21st century science classroom. In this part, just 3 will do to cover all the long discussion on this topic. The first challenges is related to resources and facilities, where the problem arises when doing a technology assist activities in the PDPR session. When there are limitations on the time, resources, and facilities, plus with the overcrowding students in the classroom, it will affect teachers' performances and they will unable to optimize the implementation of 21st century learning. Besides all the limitation, teachers also got stressed by the burden to carry on other tasks besides teaching and learning, which will also contribute to the downside of the teaching practices. Secondly, teachers' readiness. Most teachers currently not ready to face the 21st century education in the classroom. Why? There's a study where it states that the current teachers' understanding regarding the implementation of 21st century learning are at a level where they aren't able to reach high level. Because the teachers admit they require professional development and courses to increase their knowledge. Insufficient knowledge lead teachers to rigid their teaching practice to a small scope since they do not have the ideas to implement 21st century learning in each topic and even in the assessment. Last but not least is the knowledge and technology implementation. The main point behind this is the challenge to bridge the knowledge gap between teachers and students in teaching and learning. In order to link these two parties easier, the teachers need to make something different in their teaching pedagogy to attract the students to their lesson, or even take advantage of students' familiarity in using technology to make the teaching and learning process more effective. But unfortunately, problems arise where less effective presentation styles used by teachers in the teaching and learning process. So the next slide is initiatives to implement the 21st century classroom. As you can see here, there are a total of 5 parties involved in the implementation of the 21st century classroom. But the most important step is the launch of 21st century learning teachers campaign. This can be done by the help from the government and also from the society. Why this step is very important is because it follows the aspiration for the Malaysia educational blueprint. The other initiative is also very important in order to implement the 21st century classroom. For example, encourage students using the ICT, stimulate creative idea among the students, and also stimulate critical thinking. All of the skills is very crucial and very important in order to implement the 21st century classroom.